rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
You know, it's very popular these days to sort of be negative. What they call it doom scrolling, right? Well, I'm just flipping through my social media. Oh, you're doom scrolling. Well, I suppose that depends on what you're actually, what your algorithm is reporting and serving up to you. One of the things that I found in my doom scrolling was a YouTube channel called Cinema Relics. Little did I know, months later, we'd be talking about Dan Lanigan and Cinema Relics and his involvement in the Saga Vault and vis-a-vis the Saga Museum. And Dan just happens to be a guest on this week's Rebel Force Radio in the Cantina. And had I not been doom scrolling, as the smart people call it, I would never have discovered it. And yeah, I do that a lot. It's mainly a YouTube thing. I probably watch more YouTube than anything else, more than movies, more than any network TV, anything live. It's my number one go-to app on my TV, on my phone, my iPad, all of that. I love it. Anyway, great to be with you here on Rebel Force Radio. Great to be hanging out with Dan Lanigan, like I said, of Cinema Relics later on in the Cantina. We got some great stuff to bring to you, including some new interview quotes from the maker himself, George Lucas. Yeah, George was talking recently while promoting the Lucas Museum about the state of Hollywood in an interview that raised some eyebrows. Anytime somebody of George's stature makes comments about the sort of the state of filmmaking, Hollywood, and there's been a lot talked in recent months, particularly about the state of the industry in California, specifically here in the United States. So we'll hear what George has to say. Plus, The Mandalorian and Grogu, it was just a matter of time, and it is headed to home video. And by home video, I don't mean just streaming, physical media. So I was really relieved when I heard that that was happening, because I'm a big fan of physical media. Glad to be able to put that on the shelf with all the other Star Wars saga editions. So anyway, like I say, really happy to be with you. If you're joining us for the first time here on Rebel Force Radio, welcome. My name is Jason, and with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Glad to be back for more Star Wars conversation. Really looking forward to talking to Dan Lanigan from the Saga Vault. He's coming up later in the show. I, of course, met Dan from Cinema Relics when we shot an episode of the Saga Vault back in January, and I got to see Dan's collection of movie props and wardrobe, and it's amazing. So really looking forward to having Dan join us. Haven't been doom scrolling, but I have been Dr. Doom scrolling. Lots of Marvel. Can't get enough of it. So I'm Dr. Doom scrolling. and and physical media, I can't stand it. I'm buried in physical media. I don't ever want to be around physical media again, but I make the exception for The Wars. So that Mando and Grogu Steelbook will probably be up on my shelf once that gets released. And we'll fill you in on the dates of all those releases. Remind ourselves even, because I got to put that one on the calendar. But, Jason, I didn't think that RFR was going to be hitting the road beyond our Mandalorian and Grogu after show, which happened
that was
a couple months
ago. As the kids say, that was not on my bingo card for the summer, but best laid plans, and here we go. Packing our bags, man.
So, yeah, out of nowhere, we suddenly find ourselves with accommodations and flights to Texas to go to Rebel ScumCon.
How about that?
So, It's amazing. We're going to the convention. I had no convention plans for the year, but when Ernie Klein reaches out to you and says, I want you there because you guys meant so much to the creation of Fanboys. You were there with us in the trenches fighting against Darth Weinstein and taking all the blows and standing there beside Ernest Klein and Kyle Newman, Dan Fogler and the cast the whole way through. And we sure did, man. We sure did. And there's going to be a big Fanboys reunion happening at Rebel Scum Con in Texas, August 7th through the 9th. And Ernie Klein will be there. And he is, of course, the guy who conceived of the whole idea for Fanboys came from Ernest Klein. Now, he did have some help with the script from guys like, Adam Goldberg, nobody in particular, people whose careers didn't go on to matter for anything. But it's just a really awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, you should stream it. It's about these friends who discover one of their friends is dying from cancer, and it's based in the late 90s. So they want to break into Skywalker Ranch and steal a copy of Star Wars Episode 1 so their friend can see it before he passes away. Because the film, of course, didn't go into the theaters until May, and poor Linus.
Poor
right,
Linus.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
No. And I mean, the movie that sounds like sort of a dark premise, but I mean, the movie is hilarious. But what the plot with Linus does is it gives it some heft, it gives it some weight. And, I was just talking to someone recently about Fanboys. And I said, it's not that far-fetched because I remember going to bed at night and saying a prayer, dear God, please let me live to see more Star Wars movies. And then when the prequels were coming, dear God, please let me live to see Episode 1. Dear God, it just went on. And then, eventually God was like, look, they're going to keep making these things. I cannot keep fulfilling this promise to you. But anyway, so it really wasn't that far-fetched of an idea, and it's a great premise. It's a great movie, very funny. Can't believe it's been, 15 years since Fanboys came to theaters. And this is the closest thing we will ever get to an actual reunion. We've got several members of the cast, as you mentioned, Jim. We've got Ernie is going to be there. We got Kyle Newman, the director. We've got Dan Fogler. We've got Sam Huntington. He's going to be there. Other members of the cast as well. And Ernie is driving that DeLorean all the way to the con. He's not getting on a plane. He's got the Mandalorian, and it is a DeLorean decked out like, the Razor Crest. If the Razor Crest and a DeLorean from Back to the Future had a baby, it's Ernie's Mandalorian.
Yeah. He goes, I'll let you drive it. I was like, oh, my God. Really? He goes, if you can drive stick. Oh, shoot, man. Stick? It's been about 20 years. And my experience even back then was minimal at best. 20 years, nothing. It's been about 35 years. So I don't know. I don't want to break Ernie's car, but of course he has it. On the interior has all the Back to the Future stuff in there, including the flux capacitor, and it's amazing. Ernie is a super fan in more ways than one, and he's going to be there at Rebel Scum Con. We had talked to the guys from Rebel Scum Con last year, and there was a possibility we would make it, but it just wasn't in the cards for 2025. But for 2026, yeah, we're going to be there. We are hosting no panels. And fans, convention goers, men, women, children alike will all be not entertained by our podcast live. That will not happen. So no Rebel Force anything happening at this event other than me and Jason being there, and we hope we meet you.
We haven't gone to a show just as civilians in a while. So.
Yeah, I like how you put that. Civilians. We're just going to be the regular Joes hanging out.
But there's a hell of a guest roster for this thing. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard is going to be there. John Boyega is going to be there. As I said, Sam Huntington, Chris Arquette, Dan Fogler, Ernie Klein, and Kyle Newman from Fanboys. Also, Lateef Crowder and Brendan Wayne. Who else we got there? Gideon Adlon, who, of course, is the voice actress for Devin Izzara in the Mall series. That's pretty cool. Just a who's who. Some Acolyte cast members, including Manny Jacinto, who many thought was the breakout star of the series. So he's going to be there. Just a lot of folks. This sort of reminds us of sort of those days. Some of our early podcast listeners will remember the old fan days that took place in Dallas. This convention seems like it's a little bit more of the fans, you might say, and maybe just a hair less corporate as these big cons as big as these conventions have grown.
And our friends at Everest Autographs will be running the autograph hall, and they're also the official autograph pre-order and send-in service for the event. So the pre-sale period for that is rapidly coming to a close, July 20th. So that's just a few days following the launch of this podcast. That's next Monday, actually. So you want to get on that if you want any autographs available via the pre-order send-in. So all the information can be found at rebelscumcon.com, rebelscumcon.com, rebelscumcon.com. It's fun to maneuver around that. But it's awesome. There's going to be an after party on Friday, the Bunta Eve after party on Friday. That's a separate ticketed event. And then there's going to be an official after party on Saturday at Dave & Buster's. And everyone can get in. As long as you have a badge for the convention, they're going to let you rock at Dave & Buster's. So Jason and I, we shall be infiltrating this event. And again, not serving any official capacity there. We may gather some conversations, record a few things to surprise you guys with, because as you know, our motto here is no fan left behind. So I think we'll be doing what we can do to chronicle our adventures as they go down at Rebel Scum Con. And you never know, maybe you'll be a part of it if we meet you there in Texas at the beginning of, second week of August. Yeah. So very exciting stuff. Like I said, didn't think we'd be doing anything, but I mean, the anniversary of Fanboys in many ways is an anniversary for us too. I remember the first time we saw Fanboys, we were with Kyle and Ernie in Columbus at the premiere, and we were sitting there. And at the end of the movie, it said special thanks, and it said the Forcecast. Now, of course, me and Jason originated the Forcecast back in 2006, which, for my money, is the first podcast based on Star Wars conversation that ever mattered to anyone. That was the Forcecast originally with Jason and Pete. The party was too good to resist, so I had to jump on board, and they couldn't kick me out, obviously. And here we are all these years later. But when it said that during the closing credits, I was sitting next to Jason, and I remember he had walked down toward Ernie, I think, at this point, and we're watching the credits as us Forcecast, and I was like, oh, Jason, what do we do? I thought there was like something we should do in the moment. Like, do we stand up? Do we do anything? And we just sat there and kept watching the credits.
We could have taken a bow, maybe twirled.
But that was a thrill, and then there was a Q&A afterwards, and there was a hang at the hotel, and we recorded a Clone Wars roundtable with Ernie and Kyle. It was just a great weekend there in Columbus. Hard to believe.
And then you and I froze our asses off at my brother-in-law's apartment because the pilot light in his heater went out, if you recall that.
That guy's still your brother-in-law? I've never been in a sloppier loft apartment in my life. I mean,
Yeah, that was his bachelor pad. He's married with a couple of kids now. It's a much different story now with a wife. But man,
soiled tidy whities hanging from the light fixtures and things like that. That was the sloppiest, grossest apartment I've been in.
Oh my God! And the drawers, the fronts of the drawers falling off. If you remember that, that was. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Those were the days.
But I do appreciate the crash. So
the free crash. Yeah. Just remember trying to light that pilot light at 4 a.m.
It's freezing in there. But you know what was freezing though? Speaking of fanboys, was Kyle was supposed to come into Chicago to host the Chicago premiere. And this is winter 2007. And it was so frigid cold. Maybe it was. Do I have that year right, or was it 2009? When
How
did
many
Fanboys
years
come
has it
out?
been since that came out?
It's been quite a while. I keep thinking 2007, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I think it might have been more like 2009.
2009. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 17 years now. I thought it was 15.
17 years.
17 years.
But so that winter 2009, it was freezing in Chicago, and there was snow in the forecast, of course. And so Kyle, he didn't fly in for the premiere in Chicago because he was afraid he'd get snowed in Chicago and wouldn't be able to make it back to LA for the Hollywood premiere. Yeah. And that's the big one. You know, he can't miss that.
Right.
So he tapped me to host the Chicago premiere. And damn it, I did it too. I did it, and I worked with this great PR department. They were amazing, just amazing, and
that's awesome.
We had a good old time at that.
I'm sure I knew it at the time, but it's been 17 years, and I must have forgotten about it. That's really cool. Yeah. And that's
we recorded everything. So.
As much as I love the movie and everything about it and its great memories, the main thing is it brought Kyle into our lives. And Kyle is one of our dearest, closest, most phenomenal friends and member of the Jedi Council. And we love him to death. If there had been no Fanboys, we'd never have gotten to know Kyle. So, yeah.
So we're going to be out there in Texas with Kyle and Ernie and Sam and Dan, and who else is Chris? Chris is going to be there.
Yeah,
Chris
is going to be there.
Okay, I mean we're going to have the whole gang with us.
Yeah,
and we will have microphones. So fingers crossed we could coordinate something. I know Ernie wants to record something, so let's see what we can make happen. Make some Dallas magic happen. Or it's not Dallas actually. We're going to Frisco. Frisco, yeah, Frisco, Texas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you know, part of me is like, yeah, we did those Texas shows back in the day. It's kind of like, you know, not a step backward, but it's like been there, done that, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm so excited to go just because of the Fanboys reunion.
Yeah,
that's something special and something we really should be a part of. And I gotta admit, it's a real honor to have Ernie demand we be there like he is. So much appreciated. Again, we're not part of the programming. We're just consider us Rebel Scum Con cheerleaders. And also the whole idea of going back to Rebel Scum.
Yeah, that's
a
trip.
Like, that's kind of a homecoming in itself. Now, of course, that website has been sold, and these guys who run it now are the ones who are running the convention. And by all reports, we've heard that these are amazing guys and really great Star Wars fans. So I'm looking forward to getting to know them as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's that kind of passionate vibe that really fuels this whole weekend. So again, let's get back to basics, you know, and let's have a more just a cozier con, let's say. Let's have a cozy con.
I like cozy con. Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
Yeah, because we know we got, there's that big one happening next year. I don't know how cozy it's going to be, sleeping outside, waiting to get in line to one panel. Remember that? Remember stepping
we're doing
over
that
those
again?
Bodies? Well, I don't know if we are. We'll see. We'll see.
You know, we were People, that was you're talking about Orlando 10 years ago. And that convention was a real wake-up call for a lot of people associated with that convention, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was a wake-up call for us because I had been against that whole idea of staying in line all night to get into these panels. I just felt like it was just too Lord of the Flies.
It was damn near, it was demeaning, honestly. I mean, I don't know who else would treat their fans like that. There was a demeaning
part of it. So me and Jason, we go cruising into the convention fashionably late, typically. That's sort of our thing. And so we're rolling in there, and we are stepping over sleeping fans on the sidewalk to get into the convention. And what were they lining up for? Or did they miss the doors opening? You just couldn't wake them up, so they just left them on the sidewalk. But I looked at you. I remember looking at you going, "Oh, this is not a good look for Star Wars fandom."
No,
it makes us look like we're rodents or something, and I just don't care for that.
Yeah, the plebes are just trying to get a glimpse of the movie stars. Like, come on.
So none of that'll be happening at Rebel Scum Con, at least not until we get there. No.
All right. Well, we hope to see you there. So if there's still a chance that you can make it, that'd be great. If you're already have your plans for Rebel Scum Con, we will see you there. For now, let's check in with some listener mail.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey, Jason, Jimmy Mack. This is Jeff Holland, Patreon member. Wanted to get your thoughts. I'm listening to the latest show about you're talking about Starfighter. I was thinking, Star Wars Starfighter is such a generic name. Maybe Ryan Gosling or the kid will be the Starfighter, but I was thinking maybe Starfighter is their last name. We have a Skywalker and Starkiller. Why not Starfighter? Maybe, Ryan's last name is Starfighter, Joe Starfighter or something. And if he's the brother of Amy Adams' character, that's another Starfighter, and then the kid. So maybe they're all Starfighters. Karen, Joe, and little Pip Starfighter or whatever. Anyway, wanted to get your thoughts of the possibility of Starfighter maybe being the last name. Just because the name of the movie is kind of generic. It's kind of like calling a Star Wars movie Star Wars Laser Swords. Anyway, that's it. Tell me what you think. May the Force be with you, and high ground.
Oh, Jeff, one of our favorites, Jeff Holland, always there for the live streams. Great guy. And we've been talking about this quite a bit. What is this name? We've had the name of the film for quite a while, and nothing that we've seen. And we've seen, of course, very little. We've seen 2 official photos that were released. Very, very few leaks. I can't think of any leaks, like visual leaks. No leaked photos, set photos, videos, anything like that. We've got an outline of a story, but nothing that conclusively, Jim, ties it to the title in any kind of obvious way. So Jeff's theory is, why not? You have Skywalker. You had Starkiller, the original name for Skywalker, got changed to Skywalker, and then came back in The Force Unleashed. So why not Starfighter? Could this be the start of a new dynasty in terms of the names? Could this be a new family dynasty?
Well, Jeff asked a question. Well, why not? We've already had a Skywalker and a Starkiller. Why not a Starfighter? And I think that is exactly why we shouldn't have a starfighter, because we have a Skywalker and a Starkiller. It's too on the nose.
Yeah.
So you're telling me this is about a hotshot pilot whose name just happens to be Starfighter? It'd be like, this is a movie about Tusken Raiders called Gaffy Stick. You know, this Tusken Raider's name is Gaffy Stick.
What a coincidence, right?
Yeah. He just happens to be a Tusken Raider at the same time. Yeah.
So
I just
on
don't
the
think
nose is right.
Yeah,
I don't see how this could not be an on the nose title, because even if it's just about a hell of a starfighter, a pilot, hotshot, it's still a little on the nose. Starfighter is just it's such a, not just a Star Wars term, but sort of a sci-fi adventure term.
It's kind of in the vein of like a Top Gun, which we've heard comparisons being made to Starfighter and Top Gun. That Starfighter is going to be sort of like a Top Gun type film. Mm-hmm. So I think that's more what that represents.
So the Starfighter is maybe a colloquial or a slang or a common term for these elite pilots. They're starfighters. You going to make it in Starfighter Academy? Well, it starts here. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a term we've ever really heard in Star Wars, have we? Starfighter?
It's shown up in tie-in material. It's never shown up in a film, that's for sure.
When they're referring to a starship,
right,
they'll sometimes call it a starfighter.
Yeah. And they'll say fighters. And I think Vader says fighters. Does he say get to your ships? Does he get to your fighters? I'm trying to remember. But I don't think we've heard it together as a line of dialogue in anything animated or live action. Starfighter.
Well, if you are aware of Starfighter being used anywhere in Star Wars dialogue, let us know. Show at rebelforceradio.com. Yeah. But I don't think it's ever really been used.
I don't think so either. Like I said, maybe more of a slang term, something fans might sort of have called things. But not in universe. So could it be the name of a character? Could it be a designation for a certain skill level of pilot? Could it be I don't know, an academy, a rank? Could be any of those things.
Or it just is a descriptor of what Ryan Gosling's character is all about.
Yeah, right.
Without being a last name necessarily. I hope it's not a last name. I'm Ray Starfighter. Oh, geez. Well, we heard you've been calling yourself Skywalker. That was in the last trilogy.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Rebel Force Radio.
Let's get into, since we have a moment, before we get into our headlines and talk about George's interview, why don't we check in with what's going on in the world of Rebel Force Radio by way of Patreon. Always something new and exciting going on Patreon. So if you can't get your fill of RFR on the weekly podcast, you can check out Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon is the place you want to go if you want to support Rebel Force Radio. Make sure this show stays coming at you week after week, year after year. You're basically guaranteeing the long-term health of Rebel Force Radio and our Star Wars podcasting efforts by merely joining us on Patreon. Only $2 gets you in. Heck, you could even join for free if you just want to see what's going on over there and maybe figure out Patreon for yourself. It's a very easy website to use. So give it a shot. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. This week, we have so much happening on Patreon, like Rebel Force Radio RFR Q&A number 304, Thrawn World Traveler. And this week, I talked to RFR VIP Guillermo about Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is one of Guillermo's favorite topics. He's definitely one of Thrawn's biggest fans, and he's been traveling this summer with a Grand Admiral Thrawn action figure, and he takes Thrawn with him and shares with us photos from his trips to places like Galaxy's Edge and pop culture conventions where he meets Star Wars actors from Andor and the Clone Wars, and he tells us the stories about meeting them and everything about his travels. So we have a good time with Guillermo on RFR Q&A number 304. Also, so I've been kind of nervous about talking about this, but I kind of did something stupid this week. And I did it with our Patreon page. I just couldn't help myself. It's probably the most, I don't know, self-indulgent thing I've done on Patreon since we started. We have a Big Brother podcast.
What?
I know there's no meeting about this or anything. It just kind of happened. And you would never think RFR is the source for a reality TV show podcast, nor would you think myself and Joe Dallas are the appropriate hosts for a reality TV show podcast.
Oh, I love this. This is fantastic.
Oh my God, thank God. I was so nervous to bring this up to you. I was like, Swank's going to be like, what is he doing?
No, one of my dearest, closest friends is a huge Big Brother fan, so I'll love to send this to her. She'll be your first listener.
It's a love-hate. It's a love-hate relationship. So it's called RFR in the House, Big Brother After Show. And we know it's not Star Wars, and we know reality TV might not be your cup of tea. You don't go to RFR on Patreon for Big Brother talk, but Joe Dallas is a big fan. I've been watching Big Brother pretty much since day one. The show is now in its 28th year. Joe was out to visit last month. We had such a good time. I just wanted to keep the party going. And next thing you know, we got a Big Brother podcast. I'm shocked. But so if you watch the show, Big Brother, and you want to hear us talk about it, or you just want to hear me and Joe be goofs for half an hour, you can on patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. So you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. If you delete it, you won't hurt my feelings. But it's just something me and Joe have to do. We must do this. It's something we have to do.
You have no choice.
So, and, over the years, it's just become sort of this show that's been a lot of fun to watch with Wendy and the boys. You almost treat it like a sporting event, and you watch it because you love to hate a lot of these people. You just get sucked in. I like, the competitions are fun and everything, but yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. And yeah, you don't expect middle-aged Star Wars fans like me and Joe to be hosting a Big Brother podcast, but there it is. It's happening. Deal with it. Deal with it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. We have a Big Brother podcast. So for that, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I am not accepting any criticism of this either. So I'm just doing it, and I'm just dropping it and moving on. Like, when you take your dog for a walk.
I love this.
I'm your dog. And I'm dropping it. And
pleasure, man.
Yeah. When I release the podcast, as soon as I'm done, I get up and I kind of kick my feet backwards like a dog does when he's done with his business, and then I just move on.
Oh, you don't turn around and smell it a little bit first? My dog does that. He likes to smell it just to make sure it's his, I think.
Yeah, like to see how quickly the Play-Doh goes through the system. You ever have your dog do that? When you come out to see like a rainbow in your backyard. It's like, oh my God, how much of that stuff did you eat? So that's what's happening on Patreon. Also, just to sweeten the deal, we do have early bird ad-free releases of the weekly RFR. So you don't have to sit through commercials or even live reads. You get just nothing but Star Wars conversation when you download the weekly RFR via patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. So ad-free shows. You can't beat it. It's all happening along with a great community of Star Wars fans. You hear them on the after shows or at our live events. You hear them on the RFR Q&As. That's what's been great about the RFR Q&As is it really amplifies the voices of our audience members individually. And we're over 300 shows now. So we've talked to a lot of Star Wars fans on RFR Q&A over the years. Plus, we have the RFR RPG, where it's myself, Baby Belushi, New York actor Matt Rashid, and longtime RFR supporter, VIP Matt Rashid. And, of course, the lovable and friendly Tyler Page, RFR's very own Tyler. We play RFR RPG, and so we have those sessions once a month. You can listen or watch those on RFR at Patreon, or the Babu Freaks, which is Chicago area Star Wars fans getting together once a month to talk about Star Wars and sometimes etc. Sometimes we go off the path and talk about other topics, but for the most part, it's nothing but the wars at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. So come and join the party, support Rebel Force Radio, get all these podcasts and videos and ad-free shows delivered to you each and every week, sometimes many times a week. Sometimes I go into content overload and I just dump a whole bunch of stuff out there. So it's happening. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
Well, I mean, one of the benefits of, and there are many, of George Lucas unveiling his museum and being the owner, the proprietor, or whatever you want to say, is it a nonprofit, or does just George just own this thing?
Oh, no. He's 100% the owner of it.
Yeah, so this is not...
He's invested about $1 billion, my friend.
That's what he said. This is a $1 billion gamble, he calls it.
Yeah.
But one of the cool things about it is that it puts George back into the spotlight, which means we just get to hear from him once in a while, which I love.
Right.
And
yes,
he can't hide anymore because he's got to go out and promote something now, which, obviously he hates, but hey.
But he does use these opportunities all the time to get a few things off his chest. And that's what I like. I like when George starts venting. And he does it in this new interview with a website called A Rabbit's Foot.
A Rabbit's Foot, yeah. I never heard of this before. Not that means anything.
Rabbit's Foot.
You know, to land somebody like George, this is quite a get. I mean, we've been talking about Star Wars for 20 years, and, Mac got about 5 minutes with the man, but just saying.
Yeah. It was thrilling 5 minutes, though. So, with this interview with the Rabbit's Foot, like you said, it's to promote the Lucas Museum, and George also uses it as an opportunity to criticize Hollywood focus groups and things like fan feedback. So, I don't know if Jason is going to humor us with reading these quotes as the George Lucas voiced character he does. That's it, man. The George Lucas warm-up has commenced.
I don't like focus groups. The audience doesn't know what they want to see. You make a movie by finding someone that knows how to make movies and is passionate about it. That is so true. I mean, that is so true. It sounds obvious, but to hear George remind us of what some of the key elements there are that are just missing from modern filmmaking, the big studios, it's odd, Jim, because in a way, like we've sort of gone back to, even though they're not movie people, and I think that's one of the problems. You go back to the old studio system. Yes, they were draconian. Yes, they had these actors under these contracts, these directors under these contracts, and the old studio system was very, very difficult. But they, at the end of the day, most of those people, even Louis B. Mayer himself, loved movies. They were business people, but they also loved the art of movie making and understood it. Whereas today, you've got these big corporations, these multinational corporations that are selling light bulbs and making microwaves that also just happen to own a TV station or a TV studio or a film studio or a streaming network, whatever. And it's just not in the hands of the right people. So what do? You know, there's the old expression of, you know, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And these focus groups and this sort of thing works great with consumer products. I don't think it works great with art. And that's some of the things that George is trying to tell us in this quote and throughout this interview about art and the role that fans and critics play in that.
And also addressing the fact that very often Hollywood will not have the right people in the right places to make the right film. And if you want to boil it all down, sure, you can say, well, there's these corporate guys sitting in the ivory towers in Hollywood making the decisions, and they really aren't creatives. They don't have that skill set, but they think they do. And so they're going to plow ahead with their ideas or incorporate things like focus groups to help them figure out which is the right approach to take. And of course, focus groups have been happening in film going all the way back to the 50s. That's nothing new. George has been dealing with focus groups his whole career. What is new, though, is the rise of the influencer and the social media impact on filmmaking and how that in itself is its own focus group.
I wondered about that. When George is George using some kind of old-fashioned terminology, because when he says focus group, I was thinking it exactly as you were saying. Influencer, the amplification that social media does throughout fan channels, including us here at Rebel Force Radio. Is that what he's talking about when he's talking about focus groups, or is this in George's mind, you know, the agency that gets hired, that gets the random people in there, they screen the film, they talk about it. I know that still exists, and you're right, that's been going on for a long time. But it's almost a waste of money because the data, the information that creatives and studios wanted to get from those efforts, they can get for free by just opening Twitter.
That's right. That's right. But the thing that I think studios do nowadays is they try to guide influencers in a way that they never tried to guide focus groups. Like, it almost seems like there's a manipulation process going on between the studio and the influencer that never really happened between the studio and the focus group. And I think that disrupts the purity of getting a solid read on the audience.
Yes.
It really throws a wrench into the works.
They're trading influence for access is what they're doing. And if the influencer wants the access, then they have to peddle the product and tell you how great it is. And I mean, there have been throughout time, there have been controversies and scandals with critics and critics being on the take and that sort of thing. So that's sort of more akin. Now, a focus group is supposed to be scientific. It's supposed to be random. It's supposed to be, all the things that you want. So I don't think that influencers are a substitute for that. Perhaps some of the conversation that the influencer stirs up could be some approximation for the old focus groups. But for the most part, I find that the influencers are sort of these fake critics. I don't really to be honest with you, I don't understand the model 100% of the influencer, because once you throw out the pretense of objectivity and trust, what are you left with? You might as well just have, the marketing director or the PR communications VP come out and tell you how great the movie or the product or whatever it is.
I think they like to use influencers a lot just to get the quotes for their commercials on TV. Remember back in the day, you would see these quotes attached to a movie. It'd be like,
they called them
spectacular.
Blurbs.
Yeah, blurbs. Spectacular. And you would see the name underneath it, Rex Reed. You'd be like, I know that name, The summer's first blockbuster, Roger Ebert. Credibility, I know that name. And now it's like, I want to see it again and again and again. Movieballs.com. Take a look at those blurbs now. You won't recognize any of the names.
Balls. I was thinking Nerdy Biscuit 1138. That's the screen name that went through my
at Nerdy Biscuit. It's like, there's credibility for you. Meanwhile, Siskel and Ebert are spinning in their graves. They don't know what's happened to the industry.
Yeah, none of this was ever perfect. Critics weren't perfect. Focus groups could be gamed and all that stuff. But when George says the audience doesn't know what they want, I remember hearing a similar quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs allegedly said that the customer doesn't know what they want until I tell them what they want. And that sounds, at first you go, wait a minute. Is he putting me down? You get defensive about it. But he's absolutely right. When you're creating visionary products like an iPhone, which we take for granted now, for those of you that remember what the world was like before iPhone, it was flip phones, it was Blackberries. Nobody liked their smartphone. It was a joke. You hated your smartphone. It was awful. And he created the iPhone. Nobody knew conceptually what an iPhone was going to be or could be until, I don't want to just credit one man, but obviously a team, but he was the visionary behind it, created it. No one knew, Jim, that they needed a movie like Star Wars or wanted a movie like Star Wars back in the late 70s, except one guy, George Lucas. So I get what he means by the audience doesn't know what they want to see. You've brought up many times one of the last comic book characters you ever dreamed of going to see a movie about was Iron Man. So you didn't know you needed or wanted to see an Iron Man movie, but Jon Favreau did. He made it, and there you go. And now it's a great film. We take it for granted. So this quote does seem kind of cocky, but I get what he's saying.
Yeah, of course you do. And George, of course, was notoriously standoffish about fan suggestions he's still marching to the same beat of the same drum that he always has. He's just articulating it in slightly different ways. But, this is a quote that could have been attributed to George 40 years ago.
Yeah.
He really does not like that kind of intervention. He doesn't want studio notes. He doesn't want fans dictating. And then, of course, he'll always use those examples about Jar Jar Binks or even C-3PO. They wanted me to get rid of C-3PO. And the Ewoks, forgot about it. Yeah, he does repeat all of that stuff. There still is a bitterness. But that's because he is convinced that his decisions creatively are the right ones for the stories he is trying to tell.
Yeah.
And so you have to appreciate that amount of devotion to seeking a result, and that's what George was always after was he wasn't looking at the pieces. He was looking at the final result of what it was all about. And that's all he was really interested in. So you could take your nitpicking and shove it up your butt as far as George Lucas is concerned. Really. And that's basically what he's saying with this statement about focus groups.
Yeah. This next quote, by the way, recommend this article. It's free. It's not behind a paywall. Go check it out. If you love, like we do here at RFR, George Lucas interviews. We got a whole book, Mac and I, a whole book that I got turned on to when I was in college, the George Lucas interviews, and it's great. Never gets old. Now, this one is interesting. He's talking a little bit more about this idea of focus groups, the audience not knowing what they want. And he's talking about how individual characters might not resonate and how that's not necessarily a reason to cut it or whatever. He says, if they don't like a character, he's talking about the audience here, that's interesting. And as a filmmaker, I want to find out why. But when the studios hear that, they take the wrong message. They let the audience actually make the movie. Of course, now they go crazy with that. Now it's all about what the fans think. This isn't how you make a movie. You make a movie by finding someone who knows how to make a movie and has a story to tell and is passionate about it. So this notion that it can get to the point, Jim, where the focus groups or the fans despise a character so much that they might disappear. Now, when I read this, I was like, well, George, did you not do this? Was it always going to be that Jar Jar Binks would shrink into the background as much as he did between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones? Now, we know that the feedback, and you can watch the fantastic ILM documentary, the second season, where they talk quite a bit about the backlash against Jar Jar, and for pretty much to a person, they all seem to say that this just kind of bounced off George. George didn't really let it bother him. But Jim, for such a monumental character in terms of the technology, the cost, everything that it took to bring Jar Jar to life, does it seem odd to you or coincidental that that character would almost, would virtually disappear for the following two films? Or do you think that was just by design and what the story dictated? Is George being a little hypocritical here, maybe?
Well, I mean, we all looked at it that way when the films were being released. Mm-hmm. It was like after you came out of episode 2, that opening weekend, you were saying to yourself, well, thank God George pulled back on Jar Jar Binks. So he actually is paying attention to what the fans want and what the fans don't want. However, I think maybe it might be a little more complicated than that. Jar Jar his story does have a beginning, a middle, and an end throughout episode 1, mm-hmm. where he's this loser at the beginning of the film, and by the end of the film, he's a little bit less of a loser. He's still a loser though. He's a little less of a loser. He goes through the evolution of being a massive loser to still a loser. Yeah, it's like if there's graffiti in Star Wars bathrooms, somebody might write Jar Jar still sucks. Okay, that means he goes through a period where maybe you think there's some growth there, but at the end of the day, he still sucks. No, I don't really think Jar Jar Binks sucks. He's by this time, if you're not used to and accustomed to the presence of Jar Jar Binks in the Star Wars prequel trilogy, then I don't know what to tell you, man. But to me, it's old hat at this point and fully accepted as part of the story. So you just got to roll with it. I've been accused of being a Jar Jar apologist for the last 25 years. So this is not a new fight for me. And I don't care what you think either way about Binks. It was a George Lucas creation, and I think he really got what he wanted to get out of the character in episode 1. So, by the time episode 2 comes around, Jar Jar plays a very important role in kind of a mechanical sense.
Yeah. When
he gets the vote for no confidence or whatever or he votes, he clears the path for the emergency powers. Yeah, he clears the path for Palpatine to really have unlimited political power, and which Palpatine says he'll give up, and he never does. And then by the third one, Jar Jar's he's a non. He just is not even there.
He shows up at Padme's funeral. I think that's
it.
That's it for him.
Not a line of dialogue. Not a single line of dialogue. So, yeah, his role diminished, but didn't his story get told? And how do you find room for Jar Jar Binks when all of this is going on between
Yeah.
the triangle of Anakin, Obi-Wan.
So you
Padme.
don't think that George was bending the knee to the fans and reacting to the backlash at the time?
It's real easy to say he did.
Mm-hmm.
But when you analyze Jar Jar Binks and the potential of that character and what that character needed to do in the trilogy, I think the character just sort of naturally faded into the background. Now, of course, if the character was a massive success on the scale of a Grogu, Baby Yoda, I still call him Baby Yoda. Don't worry, folks. I still call him Baby Yoda. They're trying to beat that Grogu into us. I know, but we can fight it and maintain our love for that sweet Baby Yoda. But if Jar Jar Binks was popular to that degree, where people were walking around Jar Jar Binks sweatpants and everything, I think he may have played a bigger role.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Darth Vader was not a foregone conclusion that when George wrote the script for Episode 4, just Star Wars at the time, that Darth Vader was going to go on to become the big bad that he was. But he was so popular that it seems like maybe the evidence suggests that George might have listened to the fans in that sense and made sure that Vader was a more prominent character and came back and ended up being the big bad.
Well, I just think throughout the evolution and development of that character, they unlocked his potential. They're like, oh my God, we made this character? Come on, what can we do with it? Let's go. And so George decided to really put Vader into the spotlight because his mere presence created that spotlight to begin with. Everyone loved Darth Vader in Star Wars. Just, I mean, one of the greatest characters ever.
Everybody hated Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I was the only one that had faith in him.
They wanted me to get rid of him.
They said he was too dark. Said he was just too black.
I said, Misa ain't doing nothing with Darth Vader. You shall see.
Everybody hated Han Solo. I really had to sell it.
Yeah, and then I sold a bunch of posters, T-shirts, action figures, jigsaw puzzles. You name it.
He, of course, would refer to puzzles as jigsaw puzzles. He would, of course. All right, another quote here. He's talking about, what do you do? What do you do in today's day and age when Hollywood is sort of hurting? And his solution, he says, is to return to first principles. You go to movies because the stories move you emotionally. Art is an emotional medium. So he's talking about, just get back to the basics, man. It's about the story. Just get back to the basics. And when you try to focus group your way and influencer your way into these stories, and I mean, I've been watching sort of the rollout of the new Avengers movie, right? This new Avengers movie that's coming out, and I mean, you think people are excited for Star Wars to fail? You should see these. They are so excited for this Avengers movie, which is going to get a lot of the original actors from the early days of the Marvel Cinematic Universe back together, and they are so excited for this thing to fail. They cannot wait for it to bomb. I mean, I know that fans have always had you go sports fans, different types of fans. They kind of have this sort of love-hate relationship with the thing that they love. But this just gets to the point where we just got to call it out. This is not fandom at all. This is not fandom. It's clickbait. It's rage bait, really, is what it is. I don't think there's any pretense of actually trying to cover this stuff in sort of any objective way. And so you can't react to these people is sort of what I'm getting at. You just can't. And I like that George is reminding us here
Yeah.
that movies are art, and art is about emotion. And you have to, and when they focus group their way out of this, they take the emotion out of it, and it becomes just paint by numbers.
Yeah, it's the corporate movie making mindset that has really suffocated the industry, where these are corporate products. They're not pieces of art. They're products. And I think the negative reaction now that's getting baked into the audience is like a natural pushback against that, because it's being presented as art, but it's hollow because it's a product. It's not art. It's filled with works of art. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that the special effects artists aren't creating artwork. I'm not saying that the actors aren't creating artwork. They're bringing their artistry to the product. But then at the end of the day, it gets boiled down into a product. And with the way things work with CGI and now AI, somebody can act in front of a camera for 3 months and think that they shot a film and go see a movie where they're doing entirely different things in environments they've never seen before, acting against actors that they've never met before. And this is what's happening in filmmaking now. So like a lot of the human emotion is being stripped from it. And George is saying this is an emotional medium, and we have to bring the artistry back to it. So his suggestion is to bring in people who know how to make movies and who have a vision and a story to tell, and they have a passion about it. That's not happening with the corporate franchise IP filmmaking nowadays. All they have is the title, Mandalorian and Grogu, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Supergirl, whatever it is. They just slap it on the thing, announce a release date, and think that a masterpiece is suddenly going to appear. But it doesn't work that way, because it's not being fueled by the emotion anymore.
Right.
It's not being fueled by the passion anymore.
No,
it's being fueled
analytics,
by
algorithms, all that.
Everything that goes behind product marketing. So it's not art anymore. You can't call it that. And so what are people reacting to now? The real art that's out there, the things that are being made by independent filmmakers, like these horror films, like Obsession and Backrooms. I mean, these are the things that are resonating with people.
Because they're
humans
organic.
Doing
they're
human
coming
things.
out, right. And they're coming out of these creators' minds that now have access to equipment and tools that the cost of entry was, exponentially more back in the day. But one of the great things is that we have the proliferation and the democratization of a lot of these tools that gives these younger and filmmakers the opportunity, because otherwise they would never get any of this stuff made, because they'd have to get the studios to back them. But they can make their bones and get their reputations on platforms like YouTube and things like that.
George Lucas and his contemporaries, they had to deal with a ton of studio pressure all the time, and they wouldn't bend. They would, they would put their lives on the line for their movies, because that's what artists do for their art. To create their art, they will do anything to do it because they're passionate about it. They have a story to tell that needs to be told. And they'll do anything to tell that story the way they want it to be told. And George Lucas is one of those guys. So what's changed? George says now it's all about what the fans think. How did the fans get that amount of power? He says that's not how you make a movie. You make a movie by finding someone who knows how to make movies, that has a story to tell and is passionate about it. Well, I think if you look between the lines, you can see what he's saying here. He's saying the reason why it's all about what the fans think is because the studios aren't presenting any original ideas anymore, and everything is so half-baked and rushed. And at the end of the day, it's not a fully fleshed out story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It's empty calories.
Empty calories. So George is saying, find someone who knows how to make movies and that has a story to tell and is passionate about it. Well, look at Lucasfilm. Okay, let's just focus on the things we focus on all the time here. Kathy Kennedy did not understand Star Wars. She never had a story to tell. Did Kathy ever develop a story for Star Wars? No, she never did. She sat there and listened to pitch after pitch after pitch and reacted emotionally to the pitches that were being presented to her. She didn't have a strategy. She had these emotions. And of course, George is saying art is an emotional medium. We all know this. But when Kathy is taking her eyes off the prize, that is the Star Wars IP, and she's treating the IP like it's film school, and she's just bringing in young auteurs who have a vision that doesn't fit in with Star Wars, and she keeps entertaining these visions over and over again, we end up with a Star Wars that's going through an identity crisis, and no one is connecting to the franchise like they used to. Well, I should say no one, but I mean general public, you know.
Right.
I still feel pretty connected to Star Wars. And so,
but it's not necessarily bringing in new audiences. It's not maintaining the multi-generational momentum that it had.
So what George says, find someone who knows how to make movies that has a story to tell and is passionate about it. I mean, obviously Kathleen Kennedy, she knew how to produce movies, but she wasn't the one who had the passion about the story. She was the one facilitating someone else's passion all the time. Now that Filoni's in there, I'm hoping that Dave does have a story to tell, and we know he's passionate about it. So maybe with the new leadership at Lucasfilm, we'll see things start to evolve in a way where maybe some of the artistry will be reintroduced into the medium in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you talk about this, you create this image of these storytellers coming in and pitching Kathleen Kennedy on things. And in this interview, George describes his original pitch for Star Wars. He called it a 1920s, 1930s soap opera set in space, dogs flying spaceships, crazy stuff. And it wasn't that Alan Ladd Jr. was backing the idea, the concept. He was backing George Lucas because he was a filmmaker with a story to tell. That's the difference.
Yeah. And he was passionate about it.
Sure.
And he had to tell the story. So you don't have that kind of emotion fueling films anymore. Because there are too many voices at the table, obviously.
Yeah.
And then when you introduce things like focus groups or influencers or whatever, then the fans take over. And the reason that happens now and why that didn't happen so much in George's day is because they're approaching these projects with half-baked narratives and not fully fleshed out concepts. And so it's easy to see what the fans think because
it's a little like letting the inmates run the asylum. And I say that as a fan. I am a fan. But at the same time, I don't necessarily, I want to be surprised. I don't want to have to tell you what I want. You show me what I want. You create a great story. Our agreement is I've bought into your universe. I've bought into all the mechanics that make your universe, the characters, the situations, all the things that we agree on that makes the universe. Now tell me really cool stories within that universe. That's the agreement. And I'll be there and I'll pay my money and I'll, get on the mic and talk about how much I like it or what it made me think or how it made me feel and all of that. That's the agreement that we have. But don't necessarily come looking to me to solve your problems.
I'll solve them for you. Just
I don't want to
give me
solve
a call. No, I could do it on one Zoom call is all it'll take. That's all it will take. I can fix everything with one Zoom call, and you just watch. It'll shake up the industry.
All right, Jim, were you surprised at George's take on AI? Because I know that you as a creative have had your misgivings about AI. I hadn't really heard George talk about it much, but he does come right out. Some really cool pictures, by the way, on this about AI. And he says artificial intelligence means it's much easier to make movies. It's very much like sitting here saying, well, I believe the horse and buggy is really where it's at, man. These cars, they break down. They need gas. There's all kinds of problems with them. And pretty soon they'll be making them into tanks and they'll be killing people. It's terrible. There's nothing you can do about it. That's progress. It's the future. So what George is saying is that, yeah, you pick up one end of the stick, you get the other, you get all the benefits of AI because, again, we're talking about the democratization of the tools that enable you to be a storyteller, a creator, an artist, whatever. But at the same time, there's issues with plagiarism, there's issues with intellectual property rights, and all of that stuff. But what George is saying is just like when the horse and buggy was replaced by the automobile, we can't just focus on the negative. We have to look at the positives that come with it, with progress, and have to deal with criminality or whatever else comes out of the new technology.
Well, it doesn't surprise me at all that George is reacting this way. When I saw George in Chicago many years ago at the Four Seasons, at a dinner where he was being interviewed by Jon Favreau, long before Favs started working in Star Wars, outside of his work in the Clone Wars. But George said basically that the reason he pushed boundaries with filmmaking technology and computer-generated imagery and nonlinear editing and really bringing the digital age into Hollywood, George said the reason he did that is primarily because he considers himself to be a lazy dude. And he's always in search of the easiest way to get the job done. And technology presents that to George. So I see he still has that same attitude all these years in retirement. Now, here's where I draw the line, personally. He brings up the horse and buggy and compares it to the car. Mm-hmm. And the thing is you have to drive the horse and buggy and you have to drive the car. As long as artificial intelligence is being used in filmmaking, I want there to be a human being behind what they're doing, not just leaving it all up to the AI. Make me this. Boom, there it is. Now I watch it. I enjoyed it. I'm going to release it. I need AI to continue to be a tool and not the driving force. I want human beings to be in there and creative, just like George was talking about. Passion. AI does not have passion. And it'll never come across in the finished product unless you have people there commanding or whatever. I don't even know how to use AI. I have no idea how it works. I've never used a chat GPT or anything like that. I've never even looked at it. So I don't know how it works. To use it as a tool to create backgrounds for things based on your ideas and your designs, then I think that there's something to that. I think it takes away a lot of the monotony. We see all of those names at the end of these special effects laden films. Thousands and thousands of people working on a 2-hour movie. It seems like with AI, there's a cheaper way to get that done. And yeah, that is going to eliminate jobs. And yeah, that is going to take away a human element. George is right. You can't stop it.
Right. I mean, George was the one that had to look in the eyes of these incredible model makers and these practical effects wizards and essentially tell them, I don't know if George really did this, but I mean, essentially had to tell them, you know, you're a horse and buggy. I found an automobile. It's a computer. And I don't need you to build this model. I don't need you to spend weeks and weeks and weeks or months and months. I can have somebody animate this. And so, yeah, I guess it's not surprising when you look at George's history and his penchant for embracing emerging technology and having a pretty optimistic view of its impact and its effect. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised about it.
No,
and
I'm not surprised at all.
And I'm kind of with George on it. But I also am with you on it that, and I guess my optimistic Pollyannish view of this is that, and he mentioned something which kind of interesting. Another quote, he says, well, if you want an AI that tells you when something is fake and where it came from, AI can do that. Humans can't. We're not that smart. I disagree with George there. I really do. I think that humans who have evolved for a long time have evolved to understand subtleties in the human face, the eyes, the movement, all of that. It's the fight or flight. It's the, you know, the Bengal tiger or whatever it is, you know, that we ran into the cave whenever we heard it or saw it or whatever, and learning to communicate with one another as human beings. I always believe that we will always be able to determine whether or not something is artificial or something is real and it's organic because we've evolved to do that. And this stuff has only been around for a few years. Now, in another 500,000 years, maybe I won't be around, thank God. But I just think for the foreseeable future, I think we are smarter than that, George. I think we can tell and sniff it out and smell. We can still smell when it's not really 500 extras in a desert in an epic film when it's just a CG. We can smell that and discern that as human beings, no matter how great the technology is. You compare something like Ben-Hur, the 10 Commandments, to Attack of the Clones, you could tell it's different. It feels different. No one's fooled into thinking that you have an army of Gungans.
There's not an army of Gungans?
I'm sorry to break it to you.
I'll tell you, listen how easy I am.
Yeah.
They've talked about this a lot over the years. The pod race arena.
Yeah.
Those aren't people sitting up in the stands. It's a miniature, and the stands are populated with colored Q-tips. And they're up there in the bleachers.
Yeah, they're colored because everybody used to clean out their ears, and then they just...
Ew, yuck. Yuck. Well, for me...
It fools me every time.
I believe they're real. Those are people up there in those stands. Yeah, maybe it's a society of Q-tip people, but they're still people, damn it. And you need to respect that.
One more before we hang it up here on Rebel Force Radio. I was delighted. I really was to see that The Mandalorian and Grogu are coming home video, not just to streaming. By the way, that streaming date, July 21st. My goodness, this podcast goes live, on the 17th? Is that it? No.
So next week.
Yeah, so next week.
It'll be available for purchase.
Yeah,
as far as streaming goes.
Not a free streaming thing like on Disney Plus, but your Prime Video, your Apple TV, your Fandango. Now this is interesting, really, because I would have assumed that this film would have hit Disney Plus first. And
I agree.
Either as a premium,
I was shocked and surprised. Yeah,
either as a premium model, which I guess they really don't do anymore. I remember the live action Mulan movie. That was that came out during COVID, and it had a very short run in the theater, and then very quickly you could go to Disney Plus and you could pay an extra like $25 and see the movie in your home.
I remember.
I guess they don't really do that much anymore, but I still was surprised that this thing didn't show up on Disney Plus first. But as you say, you're going to be able to just plunk down your $25 or $20, whatever it's going to be, and get it on all the various streamers where you buy digital copies of films. And that's very soon. That's July 21st. And then on August 25th, the day before my birthday, I know it's on my list, is you can get the 4K Ultra HD and the Blu-ray. And that's the one that I'm excited about, the 4K. Get it on the shelf with my 3 seasons of Mandalorian. There's a Steelbook edition. Jim, some cool features, and one that jumped out at me was an audio commentary by Jon Favreau, and it makes me wonder if it's the same commentary you heard when you went back to see Mando Grogu the last time because of that extra audio feature.
Yeah, it's bound to be. It's bound to be the exact same track. Why would Jon Favreau sit down to do 2 commentary tracks?
Yeah,
it's not like he's saving his best stuff for the Blu-ray or anything. He just spit it all out that one time he sat down. And I'll tell you one thing about Favreau is he doesn't leave dead air very often throughout the movie. He keeps up a very consistent pace of filling up your ears with all kind of behind-the-scenes information about the movie. It was one of the best director commentaries I ever heard, just because he kept it moving. No dead air, just kept it moving. Lots of facts.
Yeah, it must have been cool to be able to listen to it and see it so big, on the big screen. As
it was great.
To home where you get distracted, somebody comes in, your dog's in your face, But a director's commentary and audio commentary in the theater, that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, it was just a different experience, really. And I just marveled at the technology, how it kept in perfect sync with the whole movie. Didn't skip, didn't freeze. It was great technology, ran really well. So now you can experience that at home with the Mandalorian and Grogu Blu-ray. But, I'll still give it a listen just to make sure that it is the exact same one. But like I said, I don't see Favreau sitting down to do it twice. No sir.
I would like to, to be honest with you, I'd like to hear a little Filoni on an audio commentary. I know Filoni wasn't the director, but, Dave is co-producer and second unit director. But I think he probably has a lot of, knowing Dave, he's got a lot of things to say. But there is some Dave Filoni with some of the other features. There's Crafting the Mandalorian and Grogu. That goes behind the scenes of the artists that are putting together the puppetry, the miniatures, sound design, all of that. There's a special feature called Biomes from Snow to Swamp. So Favreau reveals how they brought about the 2 kind of major environments. You had a snow planet and the swamp planet. And then there's Welcome to Shikari, which, Jim, we've talked about this, right? This is Chicago in a galaxy far, far away is what Shikari is.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be Prohibition era.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prohibition era, 1920s, Chicago. Really, with the elevated train platforms on Shikari, that really sells it.
Yeah.
The high rises.
I got to ask,
it is very Shikari.
Is your RPG character Podcastus from Shikari? Can we make that RPG canon?
I don't know if we've actually determined what planet Pod is from, but I'll talk to those who are in the know about how this stuff works.
Okay. Because it just makes sense that Shikari would be the homeworld of one Podcastus.
So RFR RPG is a monthly show on Patreon, patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. And my character is Podcastus. And we got to get him a homeworld. And it's going to be Shikari. I like what you're thinking, Swank. I just don't know how to make it official because despite the fact that we've been doing these RFR RPGs for like 3 years now, I still know nothing about RPG. I don't understand.
Yeah,
how
don't
it works.
ask
I don't
Mac
know the
any
mechanics.
questions about how to run your game, any of that stuff.
Oh, please. I have no idea what we're doing.
You're not a games
flip
master.
for destiny points. Flip for destiny points. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy time, but it's a lot of fun. So that's our RPG. Yeah. Yeah.
So another one of these, Dejarik for real. So this is a behind the scenes feature of how they evolved, the famous Millennium Falcon game board and put it into real life. So a lot of stuff. We do have a clip here. What is this from? Is this from one of the commentary tracks, or not? Excuse me, not one of the bonus features?
Right. To hype up the release for this Blu-ray, they released a little clip here. This is focused on Rada the Hutt. We go behind the scenes with Rada the Hutt and learn more about what it was like bringing Rada to life.
I still remember when Henry Gilroy pitched me the idea of a baby Huttlet.
That was me performing Rada. Dave wanted like a gross baby. Yeah, I can do that. And I think I succeeded.
Finding out how to take something more playful and explore the emotional reality of it.
I'm not my father.
And then to hire somebody like Jeremy Allen White to bring a level of humanity and performance to it. This offers us an opportunity to be playful, but also to show a character that may have dimensions that one might not expect.
They feared him, but they cheer for me.
All right. Well, that'll be fun.
There's your buddy.
Yeah.
There's your buddy,
Old Rada.
Jason. Old Rada. And it's nice that they bring it. Wait, what was that, Rada? What was that?
They cheer him.
Yeah.
No, they cheer me.
Well,
Whatever it
It's
was.
nice that they pay attention to the legacy of Rada by bringing in David Acord. He was that third voice you heard there. And he was talking about how he did all the sounds for Rada. I think David is going to be out in Texas for Rebel ScumCon.
He absolutely is.
I haven't seen him for a while. It would be nice to see David again.
For sure. All right. Make sure you check out rebelscumcom.com for all the details. Hopefully you can hang out with us. It would be a lot of fun.
I feel like Han Solo, you're Chewie, and she's Ben Kenobi, and we're in that f***ed up bar.
Rebel Force Radio.
Where are you going, Master? For a drink.
Sorry about the mess.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Well, Dan Lanigan, welcome to Rebel Force Radio and In the Cantina. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, obviously, your collection spans many, many, many films and genres and franchises, but I happen to know from doing a little bit of research that a big part of your heart belongs to Star Wars. Is that correct?
It does.
Is that sort of where this journey started with you? Do you remember what your first Star Wars memory is?
Yeah. Well, one of two. I have the memory of walking out the theater after seeing Star Wars, but I'm not sure if that was, I went and saw it with my father. I don't remember if that was before or after I'd gotten two action figures, a Stormtrooper and an R2-D2. Both of those are very early, and I still very clearly picture those. My mother had bought me those two pieces because I had asked for C-3PO and R2-D2, and she thought she was successful. She thought the Stormtrooper was a robot, to her eyes. I mean, obviously a droid, but she's like, oh, it's a robot, right? Well, I think I got the action figures first. I think because I didn't know the characters.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't remember. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't get those. What am I thinking? The action figures came way afterwards. So sorry. You know what? I saw the film in the theater, and then, what is it? 8 months later, those are when the action figures came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're original generation Star Wars trilogy fan.
Yes. Yeah, I was 7 when I saw it.
Perfect age. And so you obviously maintained that passion for Star Wars all throughout childhood. Did you continue with the toys and the trading cards, or what was what were you into when you were younger before you got into a world-class collection of film props and wardrobe?
Star Wars action figures. I loved. I had. I think all the original figures. I had the Death Star set. I had the Millennium Falcon. I was very fortunate to have those two pieces, and I think I had an X-wing as well. And then when Empire came out, I had the Snowspeeder and the AT-AT along with a bunch of the figures. I don't think I had them all, but I had a bunch of the figures. Yeah, I was obsessed with it. In fact, the AT-AT has always been my favorite Star Wars kind of iconography from those films. And that was always on my to-do list, if you could call it, to try and acquire one of the original stop-motion models, which will never happen because those are all owned by George Lucas. But it's nice to have something on your list that you can't get, but it's okay because the man that made them still has them. So
yeah, right. Cool. If you can't have it, the next best person to have it is George Lucas. And I do want to talk about
the best person to have it is George Lucas. I'm probably not the best person to have it. But.
Okay. And what was, obviously the toys and the memorabilia as a kid was sort of the gateway drug, you might say, into this larger world of collecting. What was then like the first, what you would consider like real piece, real item that you had that was like a step beyond toys or merch?
I would say it was what I thought at the time was an original Who Framed Roger Rabbit pistol, a toon gun that the character Eddie Valiant pulls out of his car, out of a box, and goes into Toontown. And I got it from somebody who had worked on the film at a very high level, and just happened to be at the right place at the right time online and came across it. And years later, I found out that it was a crew gift, which, to be fair, is still a cool piece, but it wasn't what I thought it was and what I've been sold and paid for. So it was disappointing. But by that point, I was already hooked into it. And I've been collecting for many years. And, whenever you buy this stuff, even when I was new to this game, I always thought there was a chance that you don't always get what you think you get. It's one thing if you're buying an action figure out at the store, you know what you're getting. Right? You have an expectation and you get that. But if you're buying a prototype action figure and it turns out to not be that or a fake or something like this, it's a different story and it's frustrating. But it's all part of the hunt and you get some wins and you get some loses.
What inspired you to get into the field of film prop collecting? You obviously are a filmmaker yourself. You're a professional. You're a film producer. Is it because of a practical reason? Maybe you were trying to acquire pieces you could use in your own films, or was there some other deeper passion that you had for collecting film props that made you suddenly start to collect them?
Well, I started collecting film props before I actually became a professional, quote unquote, in this industry. I would say that, if anything, collecting film props helped me learn and network into the film industry and figure out what some of the things I didn't know, which allowed me to eventually, start working in the industry. But yeah, I've been collecting for 30 plus years, and I've been only working in this industry for maybe 18, 15 years, something around there.
Okay, so the collecting came before the
it did.
the career. This is a chicken and the egg situation. So
yes. It's funny how when I was producing TV, we had pitched a show to AMC about movie props. We called it Raiders of the Lost Props. And they were really interested in it. They were just ready to sign on it, and ultimately it fell through, like a lot of these things do. And then a few years later, took that sizzle and brought it to Disney, and that's how I got my show on Disney Plus. And ultimately that was called Prop Culture, and we got one great season out of it. right before everything kind of went to hell with COVID and Disney kind of changed their business plan. But it's a well-loved show, and we were very proud of it.
It's a great
and it was funny
show.
how props.
Yeah,
it's funny how props got me into the industry, and then ultimately I'd start doing content based on props, which is weird from a collector's point of view, not like a professional props, just from a collector point of view.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, as much as having a show on a network or a streamer like Disney Plus, legitimizes you. I don't think you need any of that. I mean, I think as soon as people get onto your YouTube channel and they see the depth and the breadth of your collection, your knowledge, that speaks for itself. And I think that it's great that you kind of captain and commander of your own destiny with doing what you want on YouTube. I think it's just awesome. In those early days, though, of prop collecting, when things were a little bit more like the Wild West, how did you navigate that before there was, a big market and before props were treated like museum pieces? There was a time when this stuff was not considered valuable. What was that like back then?
Well, what's funny is back when I started collecting, the stuff was still considered valuable, just not like it is today. I was picking up pieces for hundreds and thousands of dollars, which at the time certainly is more than it is now with inflation. But, my budget wasn't very big at the time, so it was a lot of money for me. Since I collected for so long, I've been picking up pieces for so long that I've been able to use some of those pieces to trade up and get other pieces in my collection that I wouldn't have been able to afford these days, because occasionally I'll sell a piece and turn around and buy a few pieces with it. But it certainly wasn't as much information. People guarded their information that they had very close. You had
before
to be
the internet,
careful.
I would imagine it was very challenging.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you'd pull up books and magazines, and Cinefex was a big one, and all the Movie Monster magazines. They had photos, because honestly, photos were really key in figuring things out. Set photos, the on-set photographer, you would get better resolution than you would back in the day when you would only have VHS to compare to see if a piece was on in a film. And that being the issue, screen matching wasn't really a thing back then. You just had to confirm that the piece was constructed like it and it felt like it was the right age. You couldn't necessarily confirm it was the one in the film, even though we all kind of knew there were multiples of these things. And if it came from the prop master, it was likely made for the film. So, or the costume designer or whatever that, piece happens to be. Nowadays, things have gone up in price unbelievably much. And the thing with that, though, is it generally has to be a screen match piece, something that is clearly what you see on film. It's that unique one piece that commands these great prices. And sometimes you wind up having something in your collection you didn't realize for many years, or sometimes you do the research, and like I'm doing with my show, Cinema Relics Investigates, and you find out the piece isn't necessarily what you thought it was.
Yeah.
So
some of the coolest stuff on your channel is that screen matching. You've done some things, I know, with the folks over at Prop Store. I think it's Steven over there at Prop Store. Yep. One video in particular comes to mind, and I'm reminded of this because I see the indie stuff behind you, is screen matching some of the indie gear, the one of the shirts and one of the jackets.
Yeah,
that's right. So I really encourage everybody to go over there and check out the YouTube channel, because this stuff hours will go by and you'll realize you've hit up a lot of this stuff. But so that's interesting, where how the information was less fluid than it is now. Prices were a little bit lower. Have you ever had to break someone's heart?
Substantially lower.
Have you ever had to break someone's heart and tell them that they didn't have something that they thought they really had?
Yes, I have, and it's painful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And honestly, I've walked into this knowingly that's what would happen with some of my pieces, and I've done that as well. So, but I think ultimately, we collect this stuff because there's many reasons why a prop collector collects stuff, but there's the nostalgia factor, which I think anybody who collects Star Wars action figures has already, right? There's the love of the film and love of the character or films when you're collecting from different movies, but ultimately there's the history that you're trying to collect, and that all comes down to the authenticity and the provenance and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes that information is murky, especially back in the early days of collecting. So, you win some and you lose some. Nowadays, it's you're paying for that authenticity because ideally, you're pretty much aware if something's on screen or not. And if it's not, but you feel like it came from the film, it's still worth some money and it's still worth buying if that's where you're buying it for. I think, prop collecting, you can still get into it at a low level, dollar-wise, and still find stuff that means a lot to you. Because ultimately, you should collect from your heart. You should buy with, your brain, but collect from your heart. And that's what I've done all these years.
Yeah, and I've seen the collection in person. And wow, you have been a very successful collector. You have film props and wardrobe pieces from so many different movies, iconic films, and even some movies that don't get that much of attention paid to it. You collect it all, and it's so impressive the way you have it all arranged in that warehouse. And I was there when we shot the Saga Vault for Cinema Relics. For Cinema Relics and the Saga Museum, and you were the great moderator on a beautiful set that you guys built there in the warehouse. And it was such an incredible night to participate in that show with yourself, Gus Lopez, Vic Stevens, and of course the great Steve Sansweet. How did you cross paths with those guys? Because as far as your Star Wars prop and wardrobe collection goes, I have to say I was a little underwhelmed because I didn't see anything from Star Wars. I didn't see a dang thing from Star Wars in your collection. So that makes me wonder, how did you come on Steve Sansweet's radar, or is it the other way around?
No, I have picked up Star Wars pieces in the past, original movie props. I've had a couple Ewoks. I had a Stormtrooper blaster. I had Bosk's rifle. I had some lightsabers from the prequels. But I've sold all those pieces over the years, including some pieces to Gus Lopez because Gus collects original movie props. So that's how I met Steve officially. Unofficially, I had met him at a Comic-Con one year, and I'm sure he doesn't even remember it. I went up to him asking him if he still had his AT-AT that he had at one time, which was a ILM built model. Of course, he had already sold it, and I was very disappointed. And he's probably like, "Get away, kid! You bother me." But years later, I met him through Gus, and we went out to Jason and Caleb and my team went out to visit them at the at Rancho Obi-Wan when Vic and Lisa were there, Duncan and his wife Ann were there, Gus was there, and Steve, obviously it's his place with his president Ann, who runs the shop there, and really was impressed with everything that they were, both what they had done. And I've seen photos of Rancho over the years, but to see it in person and then to really see the scope of what they're trying to build with the Saga Museum of Star Wars memorabilia, and it is a big lift, and it's a worthy lift. And I felt like I wanted to help, so we were trying to shoot some stuff with them of. We shot a bunch of footage of them trying to build the museum early on, and we're still going to be continuing doing that. Hopefully there'll be a documentary about it at some point down the road when they're successful. But in the meantime, my team and I developed this show around this group. And, I still collect Star Wars toys and stuff, right? I don't really collect Star Wars movie props anymore because honestly they've gotten so expensive, and so many of my friends like Gus or Dave Mandel or Stephen Lane and Brandon Allinger, they all collect it themselves. And it's like, well, the last thing I want to collect stuff is that my friends want. And if I pass on some of that Star Wars stuff, maybe they'll let me get, some of the Raiders stuff that I'm interested in. So ultimately, I made a decision to still collect Star Wars toys, but not to collect Star Wars movie props. So all the memorabilia you saw on that set that we built, all of those toys and figures and statues and stuff, that's all from my collection. So my collection is on display there. Stuff that I've had for years is there on the set. The set is built, and we built the table for, the whole Bespin, carbon freezing chamber custom table. We built that to kind of be the central motif of the show. Because what Darth Vader's trying to collect, his own action figures, and they happen to be humans. He wants to collect Han. Well, I guess he gives away Han to trade for Luke Skywalker. He wants his Luke Skywalker figure.
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
He doesn't get it eventually.
Vader's collecting Star Wars memorabilia
That's right.
in real life.
Right.
I love that.
You guys didn't strike that set, did you? Is it still standing?
Well, no, we had to strike it to do some additional work, but we struck it in a way that we're planning on doing a season 2. So we have everything put aside. We have everything measured out where everything was, and I'll probably add some new pieces to the background for season 2 when we do that. But the table, I mean, we spent a lot of money and effort on building that table. I absolutely want to use it for more Star Wars content down the road. So
definitely.
But yeah,
I was thinking we could place Jason on it and freeze Jason in carbonite.
I think I might fit on that table.
Yeah. You we'd spin you around and stuff. It would be fantastic. Well, you guys did a great job. The production values are off the roof. I believe there are 4 episodes currently available. Probably by the time this podcast goes live, episode 5 will be out.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful show. What can you tell us about the Saga Vault?
Well, the Saga Vault is a show designed around taking some very special pieces from each one of these 4 mega collectors. And honestly, it's more than the 4, but the 4 are the base kind of group collectors that are putting their pieces and donating their pieces to this Saga Museum project, and present them in a way that's interesting. And by doing that, we're putting together a specific exhibition that's going to be at not only Star Wars Celebration for this first season, but ideally multiple Saga Vault seasons at the actual museum when it's built. So these pieces are special pieces that the collectors have deemed based on our specifics. Every episode is a theme. We've had Darth Vader and Mandalorians and the Iron Curtain is our latest episode, and we're going to be we've done crew gifts, all these different types of themes. And based on the theme, they bring a piece and they represent it, the story behind it, the provenance, why it means something to them, and why it's important to the Star Wars community at large. And then ultimately, we all vote, including myself. I'm kind of the initial voice of the audience voting at the table. And then we have our vote on at the end of the episode. And then what we do is we put the vote out to the audience. So when we air it, then we give about 5 days for people to vote via the comment section in YouTube, and ultimately that's who wins. And that piece goes in the vault. They get an award. They get a trophy that one of our guys, Martin Minier, who's an Academy Award winning special effects artist, had built for us. And everybody gets an award, or not everybody, whoever wins. And then at the end of the day, we've got 12 pieces for the 12 episodes that will go in this exhibition. And, I think they're important because it's not just because of the show. It's what these experts, these Star Wars collector experts, at looking at what's important to our society through the eyes of Star Wars, had brought to the table and shown off.
Yeah, and what I find so fascinating is that while this is all happening, while Gus and Duncan and Steve and the rest are all trying to put this museum together, you got George Lucas himself putting together his own museum, and just recently talking about how don't let anyone tell you what art is. Art is in the eye of the beholder. And I think that in the same way that film scores have sort of replaced classical music in our popular culture. I think that
totally.
Yeah, it's our classical. John Williams is our Mozart. I mean, I'll fight anybody that says anything different. But in the same way, artifacts from films and these props and these things are also sort of our version of antiquing, and it's important, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, historical artifacts, right?
It is historical, yes, right. It's our archaeology, right? We're not digging through the sands of time. We're digging through, what helped make, Hollywood's been around for more than 100 years of history. So it's easy to sort of, I guess, minimize it, but it's so important. And I think guys like you are the ones that are standing up saying this is real. This is of real value, not just monetary value, but value of us as a society.
Cultural, yes, societal and cultural value. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Culture both influences and represents the era that these things are released. It's Star Wars represents what's going on in the world at the time when the film came out, and what's going on in the film industry, and how somebody like George could come up with this idea, and why it became so big, and then all of this product that comes out of it, why people are buying it. What does that represent, and what's going on in culture in our societies worldwide? I think it's really interesting to look at it through that lens.
Yeah. And you've described collectors as temporary custodians of history. And how does that shape the decisions for you on what to buy, what to sell, what to loan out? Like that idea of being that it's all temporary. You're just the current custodian.
It's it's very important that we realize that this buying or acquiring, I don't like to even use the word buying, but acquiring important pieces that you're the custodian of holding on to. You're going to die someday, and ideally the piece is going to live on well beyond you. And if it's something that's important to film history or societal history, like when it comes to some of the pieces that the Saga Museum is putting together, there's some really important pieces that they've got in their collections that represent things that have affected Star Wars and commerce, for that matter. We think about how much money was made out of Star Wars and the figures, and how that drove the economy. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, they cost money, but it actually pushed everybody to be more successful, and this ongoing thing. I think it's really important to dive into. It means a lot.
I mean, so many industries were affected by the success of Star Wars in the 70s. It practically saved the comic book industry. Marvel was in serious financial trouble, and Star Wars jump-started their whole operation. We have the toy industry, even food and trading cards and candy and fast food, and all of these things got a big boost from Star Wars. And, of course, entertainment and the film industry got a massive boost from it. So the trickle-down success of Star Wars cannot be underestimated. And something else that I think cannot be underestimated is your fandom, Dan. So we are going to try to get under the hood of your fandom right now. We have a series of questions. Yes, we have a series of questions. Don't fear, they're not trivia questions. These are these are questions that are very interesting. They may look simple from the outside, but once you get inside, we could get into some really deep and complicated territory. These questions were actually compiled by Yoda himself on the planet Dagobah. He faxed them to us.
All right.
They don't have email on Dagobah. They have fax machines still, so
fax
he faxed
machines.
it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It still has that smelly paper too, And it kind of smells like Yoda a little bit. But
mud too, right? From Dagobah?
Yeah. Right. So these are the questions from the Yoda questionnaire.
The Yoda questionnaire.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard Cheese, with the official Yoda questionnaire theme. And Dan, it is great to be able to ask these questions to you. They are hallowed questions. And as Jimmy Mack said, they are from the Jedi Master himself. Just to let you know, there are no wrong answers, but there are answers that are more right than others. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, I'm ready. Lay them on me.
All right. Number one, who or what? In the interest of inclusivity here, who or what is your favorite Star Wars character?
The AT-AT.
The AT-AT.
Oh, now this is a
now.
first.
Does that count as a character? Do we allow vehicles?
First, we've never had a vehicle.
It's droid-esque.
Wow,
it's droid-esque.
We really have a thing for the AT-AT.
That are just happen to be steered by the humans.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't know if the judges are going to accept.
It's a K2SO.
Oh, okay.
Jumping into
from
the
Rogue
modern
One
era a little bit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by the AT-AT because there are, people have. This is not the first, or this is the first time we've ever had a vehicle, what we would consider a vehicle in the Star Wars universe, thrown out as a Star Wars character, though we have often said that the Millennium Falcon is almost like a character in the story. But for you, and this has been your white whale. I think it's important, everybody. You alluded to it earlier, but this is your white whale. You really would love to be able to have this in your collection, an actual screen-used AT-AT.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and if not, a full-size AT-AT that I could.
A full size, of course. Really I knew that would be the next. Yeah, sure. Sure.
Yeah, all right.
We can fit that. We can fit that in the collection. No problem. No problem. Well, that's kind of similar to we did have someone, D. Bradley Baker said the Tauntaun was his favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
There was some discussion over whether or not that qualified as a character, but I guess if we're going to use Tauntaun as an answer, AT-AT would be the next logical step in the evolution of the Yoda questionnaire. Yeah, right, exactly. But what about K2SO appeals to you? Is it the comedy? Is it the brute strength? Is it a combination?
It's all of it. It's the performance. It's the voice. It's the strength, it's the dryness of the character, the comedy, it's the visualization, the way it looks. I mean, it feels like something that could have belonged in the original Star Wars trilogy, even though it is modern. And I would say that's probably one of the only modern things that I really love is K2SO. I do like some of the new stuff, mainly the Dave Filoni stuff, and some of the Jon Favreau stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the episodes 7, 8, and 9, but it's the stuff that happens. I think is a really interesting time period in Star Wars. Fictional history is after what happens after Return of the Jedi, but before the Rey stuff. I think that's a really interesting time that I hope they continued talking about and doing movies and shows on. I'm not sure with the lack of success of The Mandalorian and Grogu what's going to happen, but it will be interesting.
Yeah, it's fertile territory, I'll tell you that. All right, so we're going to venture over to the dark side a little bit with the next question. Similar, but different, and that is who or what is your least favorite character? And Dan, if you say the TIE Fighter, we're going to have to just toss you off.
All right, so my least favorite character in the Star Wars trilogy, or in the Star Wars pantheon.
The whole Megillah. I mean, this could be a random, expanded universe character from a novel in 1997. Who knows?
Yeah. Let me think here.
I mean, this character, you just would like. If I never see that character again, it'll be too soon. Let me tell you. least favorite.
Well, it used to be Jar Jar, but I've grown to like Jar Jar over the years.
Yeah, that's kind of low-hanging fruit anyway, you know? It's so easy to say. So easy to say, oh, Jar Jar Binks, but when you think about it, he's kind of enduring a little bit.
Very much.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
he is. Let me think here. Just is it possible for me to answer this question last, or does it have to go in this order?
Oh, you can
think about it while we go
let me
through
tell you,
these
you
other questions.
can punt, but it's coming back, Dan. There's no escape.
I expect to be. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Okay. Dan, what is your favorite Star Wars line? We all have our favorite lines of dialogue. They're iconic, many of the lines in the Star Wars films. What's your favorite?
Yeah, I would say it's the I love you, I know.
That's a popular one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Improvised,
That's the
allegedly.
one that comes to mind. It's the improvised, and it's just it feels so perfect for a solo. I'd say that's probably my favorite line in all of Star Wars.
All of us married guys, we don't recommend you actually using that line on your wives.
No.
But it's.
But you also have to fully accept it if they throw it back at you. You have to embrace that moment. That's a precious moment.
If my wife had said that, I'd be so proud. If I said I love you,
exactly.
she responded back, I know, I would be so proud. But
so she is not a fan of the genre.
Well, she is a light fan. She's not a heavy fan like the three of us here.
Right.
She likes Star Wars, but she played when she was a kid. She would play with her brother. She'd be Princess Leia, right? She played with the toys, but she's not like she doesn't get it like the rest of us that are really into it.
Mm-hmm. But she's no hater or anything like that.
No, she's not a hater at all.
And nor is she ignorant about it. If she had a childhood of playing as Princess Leia, then she is more one of us than she wants to admit. But
Absolutely.
but we'll take what we can get.
Exactly.
So Dan, there's a lot of different occupations that we see in the galaxy far, far away. And if you were in the Star Wars universe, what job would you most like to have?
We're putting you to work.
That's right.
I would say a starship mechanic.
Oh, you like to work on things? You like to tinker?
Well, I don't necessarily like to work on cars, but I'm obsessed with spaceflight, and I love how spaceflight in Star Wars is very much like an automotive mechanic, but you get to fly in space at the same time, and it's dangerous and fun. So I think it would be neat to get into the science of it, and also to be able to fix these ships and test them out and stuff like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, is there any particular ship that you would most like to work on there?
I think he said
other than the
the Falcon.
Oh, the Falcon.
Well, yeah, it's the AT-AT. I guess. I would have to be an Imperial mechanic, and I'm not sure I want to work for the Empire. Yeah,
I love that.
If you're a mechanic for the Empire, you're even less important than the troopers. So I don't think I'd want to do that. But I would want to be in the private sector. Right. Not necessarily. I wouldn't even want to be for the rebels. I would want to be agnostic when it comes to this. I just want to be just average Joe.
You're Switzerland in the galactic conflict.
Corellian stuff.
I love it. And I love your singular obsession with the AT-AT. Like, we've talked to so many people on this show, and we've never had someone so attached to one of the vehicles. It's phenomenal. I love when guests bring something completely new that we've never had before. All right. Finally, what Star Wars moment... We've got two more questions, the second to last here. But what Star Wars moment, and there are many of them through obviously the original trilogy, the prequels, the new era, but what Star Wars moment always makes you smile? No matter how many times you see it. What's that? The Battle of Hoth.
Because the AT-ATs get taken down. It's when Luke.
Well, not that they get taken down. I mean, honestly, it'd be cool to see them kick ass. But for the sake of the rebels, it's nice that they get taken down. But it's just such an amazing sequence.
Yeah. This guy's
why I'm so interested in the AT-ATs.
Dan's a hot mess watching the Battle of Hoth at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. That snow speeder starts spinning around and with the tow cable on the legs, and you just look over at Dan. He's sitting there with a single tear coming down his cheek.
That's right.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Especially when the AT-AT makes that groan as it hit.
And how do you feel about the Scout Walkers? The little AT-ATs.
You know what? I dig the longer-legged version from Empire. The one from Return of the Jedi, not as much. I think they're neat, but they're just like wannabe AT-ATs. They're just like baby AT-ATs that are missing two legs. Deformed AT-ATs, baby AT-ATs.
Lazy. They're half an AT-AT. They're just an AT.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just an AT. Yeah, that's right. All right, we're gonna swing back here, Dan. We got to ask you again your favorite Star Wars, or excuse me, your what did you punt on? I'm trying to remember now. Your
least favorite character.
Least favorite character. That's what it was. Dan has to channel his dark side energy here.
Watto. He says Watto.
Oh, Watto.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a little too simple of a character. I don't know. It's like, why couldn't they come up with something a little less derogatory and a little more creative? And it's just like this old guy. Who gives a shit?
Okay, Watto. Too much of a stereotype for Dan. All right, Dan, we got one last question here. If another Star Wars movie was to be made, and we know there will be many more made.
Yes.
But this one's different, Dan. This one has you in it. You're in the movie, and guess who's directing? That's right, George Lucas. He came out of retirement. He said,
oh my goodness.
He said, Dan's in that movie. I'm directing.
Yeah.
No one else is going to direct Dan but George. What would you like to hear George Lucas, the maker himself, say to you after he calls cut on your final scene?
Okay, that was acceptable. Moving on.
Oh, wow. That's pretty much what he would say, I think. Yeah. I think that's very accurate. That would be about the most emotional response you could ask for from the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we're done.
I mean, I feel like he was being honest.
Yeah. That's probably the best you can get. Yeah.
Sometimes good enough is good enough, and that's all you're going to get from George.
That's right.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, this has been a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
This was fun for me too.
Love the Saga Vault. It's so great, and I'm a fan of all the stuff that you put out. Please go over to the Cinema Relics YouTube channel. You can go to cinemarelics.com and get links to everything there. You will lose hours of your life scrolling and watching stuff.
Pleasantly,
it's very
hopefully.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. No, it's great. And the best of luck and everything. And as season 2 starts to develop, we'd love to, ride along with you. Anything we can do for you.
Sounds great.
And the journey.
Sounds great.
Definitely.
Big fans of the whole mission of getting the Saga Museum together.
I would say you're pretty much guaranteed to be involved somehow in season 2 if it happens.
All right, we appreciate it.
We just need to get people to watch this show. So promote it every way you can.
Yes.
You got it. We will.
All right.
And
Thanks so much, Dan. Take care.
Thanks, Dan.
Later.
All right.
Bye.
Later. All right. Dan Lanigan. He is a cool dude.
Great guy, and an incredible collection. I was just saying, I can't believe. And as he said, that's the stuff that he wants to just keep in the house. That was not at the warehouse.
I know.
That's spillover.
He's coming at us from this museum exhibit, it looks like. And this is the rumpus room in my house. Wow. Wowie, wow. Well, he's a great guy. Cinema Relics on YouTube is the place you want to go, and be there for new episodes of the Saga Vault every Friday.
Chewie! Chewie, get us out of here!
You know, one of these weeks, we really are going to just have to get the Star Wars and pop culture out. I mean, some of these, you folks don't know. This Star Wars and pop culture, this has been following us, some of these, Jim, for more than a year.
Oh, God. You're probably right.
More than a year.
So we're gonna have to clear out that inbox sooner or later.
We're gonna have to do it, and I think what we'll do is we should have a laid back show, take some calls, play some Star Wars and pop culture, and just chill, man. We got to do that before the summer's out.
Okay, I think you've set the stage for a spectacular edition of RFR Live. So.
Yeah, because there's some good stuff. We got some X-Files in there. Really cool stuff. So look forward to that. In the meantime, if you need more RFR in your life, like we said earlier, patreon.com, that's the place to get it. The weekly full show video and exclusive podcast that you can't get anywhere else other than at Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. We're on the YouTube. We are on the Gram. We are on X. We're on Facebook. So please follow us, like us, all that stuff. And on the YouTube, don't just watch the videos. We know you're watching the videos. Leave a comment. YouTube loves that. Leave a comment. That helps. You know, we don't stop in the middle of the show and go, or in the middle of the clip and go, and if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment down here and point down below. You know, we don't do that stuff. Yeah. You know, if you like this, I got a little something down here for you. Okay. But apparently YouTube lives for that. So please subscribe, like, comment today on our YouTube channel. Also, the website for all things and everything, RFR, rebelforceradio.com. Please continue to spread the word about this podcast. We've been at it for 20 years. No signs of slowing down, but we want to continue to grow the audience. And the best way is, in this world especially, you be our influencer. All right? You be our influencer. You go out and tell people to listen to Rebel Force Radio. And, you know, the check's in the mail. What can I say?
Yeah.
We'll work out.
You know, threaten them if you have to, really. I mean, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
So we'd love to have them to follow us on Rebel Force Radio, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. We love to have the reviews. They help us out a lot. We just have one small, simple rule to follow, please.
Make them good.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We will see you next week for more Rebel Force Radio as we count down to Rebel ScumCon. It's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to seeing all of you folks in the Frisco, Texas area and the big Fanboys reunion. It's going to be great. So until then, for Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
The Force will be with you, always.
Right down here. Right down here.
Get out of here, you Kirk-loving Spock suckers!